recorded. Councillors, we'll go straight into reflection. Now, just to say, I won't be using this speaker over here because it's getting feedback, so I'll be using it from here on, and that obviously is appropriate for later on. So can the gallery please be upstanding? If you're able to, and join me in a moment of contemplation. I'll be sitting down, unfortunately. On Monday of this week, 25th of April, we observed Anzac Day. The reflection of Anzac Day takes shape in many ways, but the only thing we are united on is paying our respects to those brave men and women who sacrificed so much for our freedom. It was heartening to see the crowds this year with Anzac Day services held across the city, including the Bentley War Memorial, the Greenbank RSL, the Logan Village RSL, the Memorial Gardens at Logan Central, Jimboomba Hall, and the Springwood Tri-Services at Springwood Park, which I had the honour of attending myself. This year, regardless of how you honoured and remembered those who are serving and those who have served, RSL Australia encouraged everyone to commemorate your way, whether it be a march, a service, or at home baking a traditional Anzac biscuit. I hope you're all able to commemorate in a way that meant the most to you. It is an important time to acknowledge the commitment of the servicemen and servicewomen who lost their life defending Australia or served to defend our freedom. It is also time to pause and think about those who are currently serving our country in conflicts across the world. I pay my respects to every Australian soldier who has followed in the footsteps of the Anzacs to defend our great country. Thank you, councillors. You all may be seated. So leave of absence, there's no leave of absence required. Now we go into condolences. I now refer to condolences. Now before I go into condolences, I am aware that an Indigenous name who has passed away will be mentioned here. So I'd just like to warn our audience out there, if you're Indigenous, there may be a name mentioned that a person has passed away. Okay, I'll start at Councillor Bradley. Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I have two condolence motions today. The first one is for Mr William Gross of Pamela, Crescent and Woodridge. Bill Gross was someone who was amazing in the cricket sphere in Logan City. He was a mentor to many young people my age and younger, not that I'm old. He was an instrumental person in changing the shape and the views of a lot of local young people. He's survived by his wife Faye and a large contingent of family members. He will be sorely missed, and we would ask that you send condolences to the family. The second one breaks my heart because it's Uncle Martin Wadigo, and Uncle Martin is a local elder in our community, most respected, with the biggest heart, the greatest capacity for love, and he used to run so many programs here in Logan City. He was in a wheelchair for the last years of his life, but he still continued to be that person, that go-to person for the First Nations community, for the young people and also for toddlers. He created so many programs in this local community, and each time we say goodbye to someone like Uncle Martin Wadigo or Bill Gross, we're actually saying goodbye to stalwarts of our community who've made such a positive impact on everyday lives, quietly. They do it quietly. So if you could please forward those condolences, Mr Mayor.
That will be done. Councillor Russell. Councillor Karansky.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's with a heavy heart I advise of the passing of Robert John Ryan. Bob passed away on the 1st of April, aged 87. Bob was born in Brisbane and spent most of his childhood at Mount Cravat, and he later opened the local corner store in Annerley. But he'll be remembered as an incredible horseman who throughout Australia was known for his riding and his teaching skills. He even served as a chief judge at the RNA Brisbane exhibition. As recently as 2002, Bob rode from Longreach to Brisbane in celebration of Year of the Outback. Bob lived in Logan Village for the last 20 years of his life, and he could often be seen volunteering at the local museum. He was instrumental in driving the 150-year celebrations of the village in 2013, and he earned a reputation for being handy with machinery, and he could fix most things. I knew Bob well, and I found him to be a true gentleman. He was a complete larrikin, always had a glint in his eye, but he was always true to his word. It would be appreciated, Mr Mayor, if you could please pass on our deepest heartfelt condolences to his wife of 64 years, Val, and his beautiful family.
That will be done. Councillor Raven, Councillor Hall, Councillor Fraser, Councillor Hermeyer, Councillor Bannon, Councillor Stem, Councillor Wilcox, Councillor Murphy. Okay, thank you. We'll now observe a moment of reflection in honour of those who have gone before us and in support of those who have been left behind. Okay, I now open the floor to congratulation requests. However, I will speak first. As you know, yesterday was a big day for Logan City Council in regards to the biosolids gasification facility. Probably the best news that this city's heard for a long, long time. Being Australia's first, I think everyone's got something to be proud about, including the councillors who put the money forward and would have taken the knocks if it didn't work. But obviously the congratulations really goes to the Logan Water team, and I would like congratulations to be sent, and including our former acting CEO, Mr Sylvia Trinker. I'd also like the smarts behind the operation, Joanna Johnson, Mike Basterfield, Darryl Ross, Tony Goodlaw, Mark Vaughan, and of course our alliance partners who helped build it, Cardno Stentech, WSP and Downer. I'd like congratulations to be sent to all those people on a marvellous job. That's the best news we've heard for a long, long, long time. Okay, any other congratulations? Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Can congratulations please be sent to the Lions Club of Rochdale Springwood for their 50th anniversary, which they will be celebrating next month. The club have dedicated 5 decades to helping the community of Division 1 and the City of Logan in general. The club provisioned the first ambulance station in Springwood, which is quite significant because that provides critical care to those in need. They also support and fundraise for life-saving medical research, children's health and disaster relief, among many other essential community causes. I'd like to give special mention to President Trevor Collins and Vice President Lorraine McKenzie, who recently celebrated 40 years of service to the organisation. I would like to acknowledge all the volunteers, all past and present, whose contributions have given so much to our community. Thank you and congratulations.
That will be done. Councillor Lane.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I ask that congratulations be sent to each of my local schools because in the last week I've watched everyone from preppies to year 12 take on the task of holding Anzac Day services, and it wasn't their teachers and their principals running it, it was the students running it, and I was so proud of each and every one of them. And then to see them rock up for the march here in Logan Central, our schools in 4114 are just pushing it out of the stratosphere. Like, they're absolutely amazing. And if congratulations could be please passed along to each of the schools, that would be lovely. Thank you.
That will be a little bit of a chore because we'll have to find out all the schools, but I know that schools also attended the Springwood March, and particularly John Paul College provided the band, and The other school was at Crestmead that provided the choir, a sensational job by all the schools.
Rochdale South.
Rochdale South. So it was a great performance by all, and I'm sure you've all, so if you want that, we'll have to all provide that information, because I know everyone attended different events, so we need to capture all those schools.
Mr Mayor, happy to say Berrinbury State School, Kingston State College, Kingston State School, Woodridge State High School, Woodridge State School, Logan City Special School, Woodridge North State School and Harrisfield State School.
Good Lord,
Thank you
we'll be
very
sending
much.
them out everywhere. All right, we'll get that info from you later on. Okay, Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. On Sunday afternoon, I'm thankful to have been included in the annual celebration of Suns Cricket Club in Taylor Park. I enjoyed presenting players with trophies and helping to sell what must have been thousands of raffle tickets, and then see 78 prizes won by club members and their families, all of course in the rain. The highlight of the evening, however, was joining the community in thanking Marion and Gary Young for their 30 years with the club. The community has all chipped in to show their appreciation with a well-deserved holiday and a super impressive hamper to take with them. Mr Mayor, of course you were there with us also. Not just as Mayor, but also as the club's very supportive previous divisional councillor. Not quite for 30 years though. We were also joined by the club's state and federal members, Mick de Brenny and Jim Chalmers. At such a momentous juncture in Logan's community sport, I appreciate the indulgence of sharing a few key points across the club's 30 years, thanks to Marion and Gary's contribution. Please let me take you back to 1992, back when Criss Cross was making us all jump, and we weren't telling Billy Ray Cyrus's achy breaky heart anything. Marion and Gary's boys, David and Adam, started junior cricket at the club. Within just a few years, Marion and Gary had joined the club committee, Marion as treasurer and canteen duties, and Gary as the groundsman and handyman. Through their hard work in the committee, the next decade saw the club move from a small shed into the current much larger facilities in Homestead Park, where club nights, meetings and presentation nights could be held. Also, the club's first ever turf wicket was provisioned on the top field, which I'm sure you'll remember, which Gary has continued to maintain personally ever since. In 2017, the club was recognised at the Logan City Sports Awards as the Sports Organisation of the Year. And then the same event in the following year, Marion was recognised as Sports Administrator of the Year, and Gary was recognised as the Judge's Choice. Today, the club has a total of 3 synthetic wickets and 1 turf wicket at Homestead Park. They've also secured turf wickets at 2 schools. The club now has 13 junior teams and 5 senior teams. They've also had over 300 they now have 300 social members, and in doing so, and I challenge anyone to say that this isn't true, but they're the largest cricket club in Logan. Over the years, Marion and Gary have applied for and been successful in many, many grants that have significantly improved the facilities and experiences of all the club members over the past 3 decades. This included $300,000 to upgrade the floodlights and having the bottom fields redesigned. Mr Mayor, I request that congratulations from us both be forwarded to Marion and Gary Young at Suns Cricket Club.
Councillor Russell, that will be done. Can I just say that I've known Gary and Marion, I think, so when I started in 1997 as a councillor, they were one of the first, it was one of the first events I went to was their presentation night. And that club would not be there if it wasn't for them. Their hard and dedicated work, they are Mr and Mrs Cricket. I mean, they have put in for every application for grants, state, federal, gaming, council, everything. They have made that club what it is. And I was there Saturday night, and when the presentation was there, I could see a tear in Gary's eye, which was very endearing because you know that someone that puts so much effort into something basically made their lives. And to see someone be so rewarded by their members, you could understand that they were so well loved and still loved. You know, I think they received a cheque for $1,300. They had a beautiful presentation, a cricket bat with signatures on it and a presentation. Just a beautiful night. It was a pity it rained, but yep, certainly I'll be putting some pen to paper on that. Congratulations. So thank you, Councillor Russell. Councillor Kerensky.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to congratulate Beck, Lee and the team at the White House of Waterford for achieving the status of #1 restaurant in the Greater Brisbane region on TripAdvisor. This is an amazing feat, with the team rising to victory in a field of, wait for it, more than 5,000 restaurants, including high-end Brisbane City restaurants. This is a massive achievement for the area, proving that here in Logan, we really do punch above our weight. This honour comes at a very important time, with the White House team still recovering after their premises were inundated in the March 2022 floods. So for those who haven't yet had the amazing experience of dining at the White House of Waterford, I'd encourage you to reach out and support a local business who's done it tough during the floods and make a booking now. Mr Mayor, I hear our other councillors' congratulations for Anzac Day and commemorative services, and I too am extremely proud of my schools and how they presented themselves on Anzac Day or in the lead up to Anzac Day. But I'd like to just make one special reference today. Despite the rain, the Anzac Day commemorative service went up without a hitch at the Bethania Palm Lake Resort. The service included guests from Palm Lake Bethania, Palm Lake Waterford, and their friends and family. It was incredibly moving to see the returned servicemen marching into position. The organising committee once again did an outstanding job delivering a service to match any here in the city. The Palm Lake Choir performed Amazing Grace, as well as both the Australian and New Zealand national anthems, and the veterans took part in the flag raising. A highlight of the service was unveiling a stunning painting by local resident artist Barbara Rise, and the painting was of a beautiful poppy field. A further highlight was Canterbury College prefects Jordan, Jeanne and Prince, who wrote speeches to commemorate the meaning of Anzac Day in their own lives. I'm pleased to say that the Anzac spirit is alive and well in our youth. Following the formalities, a lovely morning tea was served, and I dare say there might have even been the odd shot of Bundaberg rum. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Raven.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No formal congratulations, just a shout out to the Muslim community during Ramadan. I've had the great pleasure of attending 9 different Ramadan dinners across the city and outside the city as well. Some of them very small and humble, just the community getting together to break their fast, and others big affairs with ministers attending. And I know, Mr Mayor, you've been invited to a couple, and I'm sure you'll be invited to the Eid festivals just down the road. Ramadan is a period of reflection and fasting, and I've actually gotten so much out of getting there early, listening to the prayers and the sermons from the imams, as the advice they're giving doesn't just apply to Muslims, it applies to all people about how we should practice build our spirituality and practice our faith. Because like any skill or any muscle, if you do not practice it, it weakens and you cannot use it. So Assalamu alaikum to the Muslim community. Congratulations on a successful Ramadan, and I look forward to having some baklava and black coffee in a few days for breakfast at Eid.
Councillor Raven. Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to extend the sentiment from Councillor Lane and Councillor Kerensky. I'd like to congratulate and thank Eden's Landing State School, Logan Lee State High School, Windaroo Valley State High School for their commitment and dedication towards maintaining the Anzac spirit. Each of these schools within Division 6 held ceremonies prior to Anzac Day and delivered messages in acknowledgement to the men and women who served in our armed services. One particular message, Mr Mayor, was an acknowledgement of Indigenous and Torres Strait Australians who served during Australia's time of need. At the time of the First World War, few Aboriginal people could even vote. They were not counted in the federal consensus, and most lived in poverty. Wartime services in the armed forces provided many Indigenous Australians with a level of racial equality they had never previously experienced in their life. Whilst many found equality in service, once they returned back home, they experienced racism and inequality by not receiving the same entitlements as other diggers in Australia. So despite this, many of them became outstanding leaders and advocates within their communities. Imagine fighting for a country that did not even recognise you as a citizen, because they did. And as Australians, we should remember this. This is an important part of Australia's history. It's wartime history. And I'm thankful that our young Australians in our state schools are aware of it. I would like to congratulate our schools for commemorating their service. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Fraser. Councillor Hermeyer, Councillor Bannon. Councillor Stem. Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Now, last week the Tamworth Music Festival was on. I know Councillor Bannon is a country music buff, so I'm hoping he's going to know this young man. So there was a local Greenbank boy, Jared Wrigley, and he made the top 10 in the busking section. Now, not only did he make the top 10, he played 2 original songs in the final, which he will record later in the year, but he came 3rd overall in the busking section. So I would like congratulations passed on to Jared for an absolutely amazing performance. I watched it online and shared it, and that sort of thing. He's an amazing young man. He's also recently released another single called Rain on the Roof, which I've listened to. It's available on Spotify. If you haven't heard of it, it is fantastic for a country song. I'm not normally a country music fan, but it was outstanding. I don't normally listen to it, but I might change genres just for this young man. This young man is well on his way to his music journey, and he will also be playing at the Tambourine Markets on the 29th of May, so if you haven't heard him play lately. He's also on Facebook. I will actually find out his playlist of where he's going to be in the coming months and that sort of thing, and I'll help promote him because it was an absolutely amazing achievement. So congratulations, Jared. Just very quickly as well, I just wanted to thank all those who attended Anzac Day services, whether it be schools, in the community, in your nursing homes like my mum did, anything like that. It was so heartwarming to have the first services post-COVID restrictions and see so many people out. There were so many young ones, so many families out at the dawn services. So thank you to everyone for coming out and remembering those who have served for their country and those who are serving and those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. Councillor Murphy. Okay, well that finishes that. It sounds like I've got a few letters to sign. That's good. Okay, so now I refer to the minutes of the previous Ordinary Council meeting. I move that the minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting held on the 23rd of March 2022 be confirmed. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Raven has seconded the motion. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? No one wishes to speak to the motion. No. Now I open the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously. Therefore, the motion has been carried. Councillors, we have no business arising from the minutes to consider, so we'll go straight into the committee reports, recommendations. So I'll now refer to the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee held on the 19th of April 2022. Councillor Raven, Chairperson of the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Before we move into discussion, do any councillors have any new conflicts of interest they'd like to declare? There being none, I will speak to the recommendations. Mr Mayor, in your absence, I took a leaf out of your book and the meeting was very quick, done in 34 minutes. I think it's a record for my committee this term. We covered a lot of ground though. We had the appointment of a director to the Invest Logan board, the final urban arts strategy and the environmental health strategy were all endorsed. Councillors asked excellent questions and applauded the good work that officers had done, but because the meeting was quick, so will be my comments.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Raven. Do any other councillors wish to speak on any of those items? None being so, I'll hand it back to you, Councillor Raven. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I now move that 1, the minutes of the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee meeting held on the 19th of April 2022 be confirmed, and 2, that the recommendations of the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee meeting held on the 19th of April be adopted.
Thank you. Councillor Raven has moved the motion. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Murphy has seconded the motion. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? I now open the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Mr Mayor, can I just have my name against?
No, we do that after. So we're
okay, well,
adopting
I'm
the whole
supportive
report.
apart from one.
Yeah, no. So I'm adopting the whole report first. Okay, that is carried unanimously. Now I'll ask councillors, is there any items of that report you wish to place your name against?
Yes, please. I would like my name against 4.2 for what I stated in committee. Yep.
Any other councillors wish to put their name against any of the items? No? Okay, thank you, councillors. We'll now go to the next committee, the City Infrastructure Committee. I now refer to the City Infrastructure Committee held on the 19th of April 2022. Councillor Lane, Chairperson of the City Infrastructure Committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Before we move into discussion, do any councillors have any new conflicts of interest to declare on any of the items? There being none. Mr Mayor, this was a long meeting. There was so many questions, honestly. It was just amazing, the depth and breadth of areas that councillors want to go. So, first up, we had the Road Safety and Active Transport Advisory Group, and congratulations to Councillor Stemp, who is our chair of this new committee, that actually advises on bicycle user issues, road transport issues for pedestrians and other people, so that we can get an active strategy really strong in Logan City. So congratulations to Councillor Stemp for that. We had the Statement of Intent for Road Pavement Renewal Program, and everybody wants their roads done, but there's only so many dollars. Stormwater Channel Naturalisation Framework was pushed by Councillor Hall. Thank you very much for that. Some innovative ideas and some funding is coming up for that area. We had the Cornubia Quarrier. Councillor Stemp shone in that section of the committee. She had questions. She was repping her residents pretty hard, and she put some of the officers to some pretty quirky questions, but they actually came out with some good results. So thank you very much, Councillor Stemp, for that. The schedule of works for local roads and the wastewater overflow inspection programs for Windaroo and Bars Scrub. No, we're not picking on those suburbs. We're simply saying it's their turn to be inspected for dodgy building or shoddy implementations. So these things happen, Mr Mayor. So overall, it was a great committee meeting, and we're very excited by it. I note that there is a proposed amendment to item 4.1 titled Road Safety and Active Transport Group Terms of Reference. The attachment 1 associated with the committee report has been amended to include information requested by councillors at the meeting, and therefore the updated attachment must be tabled to the meeting. Each of the councillors have had a copy of this amendment circulated to them in the chamber now. I now move a motion to table the updated document to the meeting as now displayed on the screen.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. So Councillor Lane has moved the motion. Do I have a second to the motion? In regards to the document, as you can see above. So Councillor Bradley has seconded the motion. I now open the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously. Therefore, the motion has been carried. Councillor Lane, you may continue.
I don't know if we've got a second one here. So, Mr Mayor, there's now an amended motion on the screen for councillors to review, and that's the Road Safety Active... Is that the one we just voted on? That's a separate one. Someone gave me the same page twice, the naughty little muffins. Where are we up to? Thank you, Mr Mayor. I now speak to the remainder of the recommendations, excluding item 4.1.
Okay, so we've got the proposed amendment motion for 4.1.
Whoever did the script up.
So your
Microphone is here.
sorry.
Turn your microphone on.
Hang on a sec. Okay, so councillors, we've tabled the motion. Now we have to move it. So we've got the proposed amendment motion, item 4.1, and you've moved that motion. So we're now looking for a seconder of that motion. Councillor Stemp has seconded the motion. I now put the matter to the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously, therefore the motion has been carried. Now Councillor Lane will deal with the rest of the agenda. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Lane. It's my job to ask them whether they wish to contribute to this. So I now ask, as you know, Councillor Lane has
Aspirations, Mr Mayor.
That's all right. Councillor Lane has already spoken on these motions. I was going to pull you up, but I thought I'd let you go. Any other councillors wish to speak to any of the agenda items that were put forward in the committee? No? Okay, I'll hand it back to you, Councillor Lane, to move.
So, Mr Mayor, I now move that the hardest working committee in the whole of Logan City, the minutes of the City Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 19th of April 22 be confirmed, and that the recommendations of the City Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 19th of April 2022, with the exception of item 4.1, be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. So Councillor Lane has moved the motion. Do I have a seconder to that motion? Councillor Stamp has moved seconded the motion. I now put it to the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously, therefore the motion has been carried. Is there any councillors wish to lodge their name against any of the individual items in that report? Councillor Kerensky.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I ask that my name be recorded against item 7.1.
Okay, any other councillors? No? Oh, hang on, Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My name recorded against 7.1 as well.
Okay, that will be taken. All right, thanks, councillors. That was good. So now we go to City Lifestyle. So I now refer to the City Lifestyle Committee meeting held on the 20th of April 2022. Councillor Karansky, Chairperson of the City Lifestyle Committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Before we move into discussions, do any councillors have any new conflicts of interest they wish to declare? There being none, I'll now speak to the recommendations. One report was presented to the City Lifestyle Committee last week, and the council cohort reviewed a proposal related to a sporting facility in one of our city's priority development areas in Greater Flagstone. I'd love to share more, but at this point in time I'm unable to, but we are really looking forward to being able to share further information in the fullness of time about this exciting project.
Thank you, Councillor Karansky. Any other councillors wish to speak on any of those items? No? I'll hand it back to you, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I now move that the minutes of the City Lifestyle Committee meeting held on the 20th of April be confirmed, and that the recommendations of the City Lifestyle Committee held on the 20th of April be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Karansky. I have a second of the motion. Councillor Hall has seconded the motion. I now put the motion to the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. So this is a committee report, not individual items. So you're intending to vote against the whole lot?
Mr Mayor, I was absent from that committee as well as the City Governance Committee, so I don't think that it's appropriate for me to vote in support of any of the goings on in that committee at that time.
All right. Could you please raise your hands again, please? I can just see an indication. Okay, so that has been voted in favour, except for Councillor Lane's vote, and you vote in against, or you're...
Mr Mayor, if I can abstain, this
You're
is the first time
abstaining.
I've ever done it, but I was not at that meeting.
All right, that will be recorded in the minutes. Yes, Councillor Jeremiah, I was going to get to the point. Okay, thank you. So, councillors, that was the agenda. Now I'll ask individual councillors any individual reports they would like to have their name recorded against. Councillor Bannon and Councillor Jeremiah. Councillor Jeremiah first.
I'm against item 4.1, Mr Mayor.
4.1, that will be recorded. Councillor Bannon.
Against 4.1.
Councillor Bannon, that will be recorded. And Councillor Hall.
I'm also against 4.1.
Okay, Councillor Hall have all his name recorded against 4.1 as well. Okay, thanks, councillors. We'll now go to the City Governance Committee. I now refer to the City Governance Committee meeting held on the 20th of April 2022. Councillor Wilcox, Chairperson of City Governance Committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And before we move into discussion, do any councillors have any new conflicts of interest to declare on any items? I hope there being none. I note that there is a proposed amendment to item 4.3 titled Sale of Land for Overdue Rates 2022. Please be advised there have been additional properties identified and added to the recommendation for removal. And there is now an amended motion on the screen for councillors to review. I will take a moment to allow councillors to read the amendment.
Okay, Councillor Wilcox, so you're wishing to speak on that item?
No, I don't
No?
need to speak to it.
No? Any other councillors wish to speak on that item? Councillor Bradley?
I wasn't aware of this before the meeting, and I'm not sure if one I was speaking in confidential is in that list or not.
Okay, can we get some advice in regards to this? Okay, was this new information that's just been distributed?
There was an additional 7, I believe, added to the list.
And this was not distributed before the meeting?
No, it was just given to me in the script this morning.
Sorry?
It was given to me in the script this morning.
It was given to us before the actual committee meeting?
Yes.
Or during the committee meeting?
It was given before the meeting.
Before the meeting. So, Councillor Bradley, you should have had that.
No, it was in the script. It wasn't.
So when
It was
was
only
this
the
information
chairs.
available?
It was only given to me in my script this morning as chair.
Okay, can I suggest, given the delicacy of this, that we go back and accept the previous recommendation, exclude those 7 properties? Because if we've got councillors that aren't aware of those properties, and we've got a confidential agenda, and the council wishes to speak, or there's other issues that they may like, because there may be information that may be sought, that would have been sought between the committee meeting and the council meeting. I'm not comfortable moving the complete amended recommendation, and I'm not happy that this information was not available, right? There was plenty of time between the committee meeting and the full council meeting. If this information has only become available, I'm not satisfied with that. So what I'm going to do is, and I understand that councillors made a recommendation on the previous decision without those 7 properties. Okay, I'll get clarification from the Deputy Mayor.
Mr Mayor, I was just going to ask the opportunity for Mr Strachan to speak to the report, because he might be able to provide the clarity that councillors are seeking. Yeah, because we're removing properties from this list, not adding properties to others. But let's hear from, if we could hear from Mr Strachan,
it appears that the officers can't agree on anything here either. They seem to be talking between themselves. But would you like to come forward, Mr Strachan, and advise us on what has happened? Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I was under the impression that was a 7 additional. No, if there is 7 removals, I believe that the recommendation should go forward in its changed version. I would be deeply concerned if there were 7 additions, but the removal removes that from the debate. Councillor Bradley.
The reason I put my hand up originally was in confidential, I referred to one particular property, and I want to know if it's in there or not.
So your question is whether or not that property has been removed. Okay, Councillor Strachan. Has that property been removed?
Director. Good morning, councillors. To answer the question, yes, just to confirm, this is an additional 7 properties coming off the sale of land list. So I think that makes a total of 18 properties that We've worked with the owners, and I'm very happy to report they're coming off the sale of land list. I think that leaves about 40 properties, and we continue to work very hard with those property owners to get them off that list. In relation to Councillor Bradley, your question, so that property that you inquired about is still on the list, but we are working very hard with that particular owner.
Okay, councillors, I think I've got full grasp of what's been happening and what's happened. Is there any councillors wish to raise any questions while Mr Strachan is up here? Yes, Councillor Bannon.
Thank you. I asked about 2 properties I haven't heard back, and so all I see is a bunch of numbers, so I don't even know what's been taken off yet. Like, I'd like to know what properties they are in case the ones I've been inquiring about are affected. It's just, I'm with Councillor Herman, I just see numbers, I don't know what properties they are, I don't know.
I'm very happy, through the chair, I'm very happy to send that detail out of session in relation to which properties have come off the sale of land list.
But yeah, after we vote on it, so we're going to vote on something we don't know what property. I mean, it's a good thing they've come off, but it'd be nice to know if the properties I asked about are the ones that come off. That's.
Yeah, look, so I don't have that level of detail right here with me, but I am happy to. So basically, this is properties coming off the sale of land list, so I can send that detail around to everyone after the meeting.
Mr Mayor,
Okay, Councillor Bradley.
can we go into confidential to discuss this
No,
properly?
because you've already adopted the report. This is new information to suggest that the officers are removing 7 properties from that list. It can't be any more transparent than that, okay? So I will hand it back to Councillor Wilcox to move the motion on this report in regards to the amended recommendation.
Thank you. Just to be clear for councillors, those figures are in your confidential report. I don't have my confidential report here, and I was going to suggest going into confidential to discuss them. However, for those that have not been stipulated on this list, officers are still working hard with the residents of the other properties that aren't on the list. So there are still more, but officers are still working behind the scenes.
Sorry, Councillor Wilcox, what was that?
Officers are still working behind the scenes on the other properties that haven't been added to this list.
Yes, that was explained
for
by.
the removal.
Yep.
Off the
And
list.
that is a continued process, and it
Yes.
always has been a continued
Yes.
process. We will work with the property
Yes.
owners to try and obviously get a better outcome.
Yep.
Okay, and that is evident by the fact that 7 properties will be coming off the list from the committee meeting to this point in time. Okay,
Yes.
so we will be working with the property owners, and this is evident that that is happening.
Yes.
Okay, so Councillor Wilcox, what I'm asking for you now, are you finished talking to the motion? Would you like to move the motion in regards to changing the amendment?
I would like to move the amended motion for 4.3 as displayed on the screen and be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. To have a seconder to the motion, Councillor Murphy has seconded the motion. I'll put this motion to the floor. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously except for Councillor Bradley. Councillor Bradley, how do you vote?
I'm against, and it's the
Against.
first time in my 14 years as a councillor information has not been given to us prior to council ordinary meeting on making a decision for transparency. I think that is appalling.
I accept what you're saying. However, it is good news, not bad news, that 7 properties are coming off that list. Okay, councillors, I will now hand it back to Councillor Wilcox for the rest of the committee reports.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I don't have anything further to add this morning to the recommendations excluding item 4.3.
Okay, Councillor Wilcox, you're going to move the rest of the agenda items?
Yes, did you want to ask any other councillors if they
Yep,
wish to speak?
I'll do that. Okay, councillors, do anyone wish to speak to any of the agenda items of the remainder of the committee report? None being so, I hand it back to you, Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you. I will now move that the minutes of the City Governance Committee meeting held on the 20th of April 2022 be confirmed, and that the recommendations of the City Governance Committee meeting held on the 20th of April 2022, with the exception of 4.3, be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. Councillor Wilcox has moved the motion. Do I have a second of the motion? Councillor Murphy has seconded the motion. Put that matter to the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. This is the remainder of the report. Okay, so we have all councillors voting for that report except for Councillor Lane. Councillor Lane, how do you vote?
Mr Mayor, I was absent from the meeting, so I'll abstain from that vote, please.
Fair enough, Councillor Lane. Okay. Okay, councillors, that's the committee reports. I now go to the council reports. We have one council report to consider. I now refer to item 10.1, being the appointment of the Deputy Mayor. I invite Mr Darren Scott, Chief Executive, to join the discussions. Before we move into discussion, we'd like to acknowledge that in accordance with section 150 EFD3 of the Local Government Act 2009, this item is considered ordinary business and therefore conflicts of interest are not required to be called or notified, and all councillors can participate in the discussion and vote on this item. I now refer to Mr Scott to open discussion. Mr Scott, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this is the report for the election of Deputy Mayor. Councillors be aware that Councillor Raven was appointed as Deputy Mayor until 29th of April 2022. So Council now needs to declare the position vacant and immediately appoint a new Deputy Mayor to meet the requirements of the Local Government Act. I have received one nomination to date, that is the current Deputy Mayor, Councillor John Raven. If there are more than one nomination, we will need to conduct a ballot process, and I will step you through that process at that time if required. And I'll now hand back to the Mayor to call for any further nominations.
Okay, thank you, Mr CEO. Okay, councillors, you've heard what the CEO has to say. I'm now calling nominations from the floor. Is there any other nominations for the role of Deputy Mayor? Councillor Hiremai, you're nominating for the role of Deputy Mayor. I note your nomination. And Councillor Wilcox is also nominating herself for the role of Deputy Mayor. So, as you can see, we've got 3 nominations for the role of Deputy Mayor. So, as a requirement, we will have to go to ballot. So, I'll now refer back to the CEO to conduct the ballot. Thank you. Sorry, we left off a very important ingredient, the presentation speeches. So, councillors, what I've decided to do is allow each candidate to have up to 5 minutes in preparation for the role of Deputy Mayor. And what I've decided to do is run that in alphabetical order. So, Councillor Hiremai will go first, Councillor Raven second, and Councillor Wilcox will go last. Okay, so as you know, the lectern is out of business. It's not working. So, unfortunately, you'll have to make your speech from your chair. So, Councillor Hiremai, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Today, we stand at an important time. 2 years ago, we stood together and we entered public office. We all came from different backgrounds, we had different perspectives, but we were united by the shared goal of making our city a better place. What's at stake today is more than just a vote. It's a decision on whether we're looking backwards and just sticking what we're comfortable with, or if we're looking forwards towards growth. It's about the future and it's about change. Nothing grows from travelling the same old path, and to innovate, we need to take a step outside the norm and make a change, a bold change that brings our council together and unites, not divides. I believe that the best form of representation is local representation. The people of your electorate chose you because they know that you were the best representative for your community. The autonomy of a councillor over their own division should be respected, and if elected, I'll support local representation and will support other councillors when it's appropriate and when it's wanted. There'll be no surprises. I'll also work with you to define what you want in a Deputy Mayor. The Deputy Mayor's role is stated in our enshrining document, the Local Government Act, And this legislation states that the Deputy Mayor is to fill in for the Mayor when it's appropriate. The role should be clearly defined, and I'm eager to work as a team to reach a consensus. When I think of the role of Deputy Mayor, I think of someone that supports the Mayor, not being in the spotlight around the city, but doing the work that's requested of them. I'm here to support the Mayor and to ensure clarity of communication of our issues, our concerns, and our opportunities. That's what a Deputy Mayor does. They support our Mayor and they support our team. Being a young candidate for this position has some benefits and some negatives. A benefit is that if I'm elected, we would have the youngest Deputy Mayor in Queensland. It would send a message to the youth of Logan that we value young people's opinions, their attitudes and their judgments. Disenfranchised young people want to see themselves in politics. Deep in their bones, they want to know that they're making a difference. And with a slight tweak, we can make sure every young person in our city sees that they're capable of doing anything they put their mind towards. The negative in being the young candidate is that I'm yet to start my own family. So instead of wistfully thinking away, I decided to look at the positives. I don't have any major commitments. I'm keen to serve the council with the abundance of time I have on my hands, and even at late notice, I'm able to attend day and night, weekends or holidays. I'm eager to serve and available to put 110% into the role. Even though I'm the young candidate, I'm a mature candidate that is going to help our council grow. Our city is young, it's progressive and it's diverse. Let's be mavericks, let's be bold and let's hold those values high. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Herrimeyer. 3.5 minutes. Councillor Raven.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last week was the 2-year anniversary of our swearing in, and we have come such a long way in that time. With 9 first-term councillors, I knew that we would build capacity rapidly, but I didn't realise just how much I would appreciate working with you in the interests of our city. We have grown together as a team, and we've got some amazing runs on the board. We walked into office with a budget that was in deficit, and nearly every second day was unprecedented in some new and challenging way. Fast forward 2 years, we have a new corporate plan, a $1 billion budget, a permanent CEO, and the kind of unity and stability that has been noticed by our community. When people ask me how council is going, it's so easy to speak highly of this group because we have worked hard to work well together. I'm actually a little bit jealous of you because my first 2 years were a very different experience. I think it's wonderful to see 2 enthusiastic and capable councillors putting up their hand to be Deputy Mayor as well. And I'm sure the Mayor will agree with me that a depth of talent is a great problem to have. The lead up to this vote has shown exactly how strong we are as a team because we can have this contest without a conflict. And this role can be whatever you make it, but for me, it's 3 key elements, Mr. Mayor. The first is the most obvious, to be the Mayor's deputy, supporting his leadership and vision, representing the city on his behalf, fronting the media when he's unavailable, and to help him to be in 2 or even 3 places at once. Part of this is also providing leadership, and for me, a big part of leadership is listening. I know there's a few things you want me to do differently. I've heard you, and I will make those changes. The second is to support you as individuals. What this means changes on a nearly hourly basis because you've all done your communities proud by hitting the ground running. Every one of you is different, but you are all united in your commitment to serve your community to the best of your ability. For my part, I've done everything I can to fast track and support your development as councillors, which can include giving advice, problem solving, moral support, or just getting out of your way when you're on a roll. The third is to support the group. Great teams get great results, and that has meant bringing people together and making sure that the debates stay in the committee room. While we may take opposing positions as councillors on behalf of our electorates, we can still respect and value each other as people and see beyond the cut and thrust of the work to recognise that we all share a common goal and purpose in the service of the people of Logan. As Deputy Mayor, I am there when you need me. We all work hard, but if there are 24 hours in a day, I get 30 hours of productivity out of them, and I use that time for your benefit and the benefit of our residents. Whether the phone rings at 6 in the morning or 11 at night, I'm there for you and for our community. As Deputy Mayor, I am your most vocal advocate. I love celebrating our successes and making sure that people know the reason this council is doing so well is because of its councillors and how closely we work with our communities. As Deputy Mayor, I'm a resource at your disposal. I'm always willing to share the experience and networks I have developed since being elected to help you help your residents. These aren't just connections with community, other levels of government and business, but they are networks within this building and a deep understanding of how this organisation works and how we can make sure we get the most out of this council for our ratepayers. Implementing the councillor CRM is a part of the role, and this project is finally taking shape. The software platform has been chosen, and I've been working with staff and the provider to customise it so councillors will have a fit-for-purpose tool that will support you in serving and communicating with your residents should you wish to take it up. So I want to thank you for the last 2 years and for the opportunity you've given me to support you and the Mayor in providing the consistent and stable leadership our community has come to expect. It's been a tremendous privilege, and I want you to know that no matter who the Deputy Mayor is tomorrow, I will always be Team Logan first and foremost. But this is still a contest. I have so much more to give, Mr Mayor, in this role, and I believe that I am the best person for the job in supporting you and the councillor team. I hope you all feel the same way and vote one for John Raven.
Thank you, Councillor Raven. That was just a bit over 4 minutes. I was going to give you a warning, but I knew you were finishing. Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and good morning, fellow councillors. We have been elected, as the 2 previous councillors have said, to council for just over 2 years now. And we have the opportunity, with 2 more years left, I agree with Councillor Jeremiah, to be mavericks and to elect 2 more deputy mayors to represent the City of Logan. There are many responsibilities within council and our city that we take on as councillors. And this is my nomination for the position of deputy mayor for the next year. I have spoken to all of you regarding my nomination for deputy mayor. And one thing I can see is the need for all of us to have experience in leadership roles here in council. My vision for the role of Deputy Mayor includes building on that experience we need to carry us through to the next challenge. And yes, working with the Mayor and all of you as councillors. Capacity building, upskilling, succession planning, and taking a holistic approach for the advancement of not just council, but for the residents and for all of us as councillors. As a councillor, I have learnt a lot from Mr Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Councillor John Raven, and all of you, my fellow councillors. We have all brought so much to the table in our previous roles. And the knowledge and skills that you have all shared with me, I truly appreciate, as it has enabled me to grow and evolve in my role as councillor. And through the times of crisis, I have shown my community stability and leadership. And I will remain focused for the City of Logan and Division 11. I will continue to stand up for Logan, as I have done as a divisional councillor, and I will continue to do so as your Deputy Mayor. Mr Mayor and fellow councillors, I've spoken to all of you about what I will bring to the role as Deputy Mayor, and I hope I have your support in my nomination. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. Just over 2 minutes. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank those 3 councillors for great speeches, all completely different, but well received by the councillors. And it is great to see the jovial response to this and the good heartedness. So what we'll do now is we'll hand it over to the CEO to conduct the ballot.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So, councillors, I'll now step you through the ballot process to identify the preferred candidate for the position of Deputy Mayor. And once we have a preferred candidate, I will then hand back to the Mayor to seek adoption of a formal resolution that the office of the Deputy Mayor be declared vacant and that the preferred candidate be appointed as Deputy Mayor from today's date. You will shortly be handed a red slip of paper with the names of all candidates on it. Please nominate your preferred candidate. If there is a clear majority, that is, if there is one candidate with 7 votes or more, that councillor will automatically be put forwards as the preferred candidate for the position of Deputy Mayor. If there is no clear winner, then we'll have a runoff round, and I'll describe that at that point. The acting corporate meetings coordinator will collect your nominations in a locked box, and the forms will be counted by the Director of Organisational Services, and the acting corporate governance manager will ensure accuracy as scrutineer. So, round we go with the red slips of paper, please.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the got something for every scenario, but there's always something you don't predict. Yeah. What I might do is ask to go for a 5-minute recess while the officers sort this out. So I will move that we go in a 5-minute recess. I have a seconder. Councillor Bradley has seconded the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously, except for Councillor Bannon, who's gone to the toilet. So we will now go in a 5-minute recess. Thank you. I will now move that we come out of recess. I have a second to Councillor Stamp. All those in favour, please raise your hand. It's been carried unanimously. Now back in the council meeting. Councillors, there has not been a clear winner, but there is also one councillor who has received the lowest amount of votes. Councillor Hieremeyer has received the least number of votes and will therefore be eliminated from the process. I will now hand back to the Chief Executive Officer to progress the next ballot.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, you will now be handed a green slip of paper, if you could hand those out, with the names of the 2 remaining candidates. Please tick the name of your preferred candidate. There will need to be a clear majority to identify the preferred candidate. The acting corporate meetings coordinator will collect your nominations in a locked box. The forms will be counted by the Director of Organisational Services, and the acting corporate governance manager will ensure accuracy.
Thank you, councillors. a preferred candidate has been determined from the ballot process, and I declare that Councillor Wilcox is the preferred candidate. So I'll now go to 6. An amended motion to that effect is now being displayed on the screen. Please note that the recommendation is for an appointment of 12 months only. Consistent with previous council resolutions, councillors can consider whether this remains appropriate. So, given the fact that it's recorded in the previous recommendation, I would suggest that it stays that way. Is it no one wishes to change it? No, I don't believe so. So, could I please have a mover for the report amended motion? Councillor Raven has moved the motion. Do anyone wish to speak to the motion? No? Okay. Councillors now have a seconder for the motion. Councillor Bradley seconded the motion. I now put the matter to the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously. Therefore, the motion has been carried. Congratulations, Councillor Wilcox, on your appointment as Deputy Mayor. Okay, councillors, I now wish to go back into the report. So do any councillors have a petition to present? No petitions. We have no notified motions to consider. I'll now refer to general business. Today we'll start at Division 10 with Councillor Stemp. No general business. Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you. I would just like to thank everyone for their support in the nomination, and I will work with you all and the Mayor, everyone, and with the whole of the City of Logan. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. Councillor Murphy, Councillor Bradley.
I just wish to acknowledge Councillor Raven and thank him for the 2 years.
Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Congratulations to the new Deputy Mayor, commiserations to the old Deputy Mayor. But let's go to a different topic. So Anzac Day was absolutely phenomenal. I know that we've spoken about this today, but during administration it was decided that the Logan Central Anzac Day services would probably fall by the wayside because the sub-branch disbanded. And what's happened since is that council officers came together with councillors, and we're very fortunate that they did that because they put on an amazing Anzac Day service, both for the dawn service and the general service. So I'd like to use this opportunity to thank Nancy Wimbus and her team. Stephen, security. I would like to thank people that sat up with the cenotaph all night, ensuring that there was no mischief or mayhem happen to it. To the Return Services local league in our local community, for those people that showed up, the schools, the Vietnam veterans and Veterans MC, to a range of people that actually made this day possible. But most importantly, there's a gentleman out there that gives his absolute all to our community, and his name's Mick Noble. And Mick's had some really serious health challenges over the years, but Mick put on the display that is in front of our dais each year. He's absolutely amazing, and his efforts and his persistence despite battling severe cancer issues has been nothing short of amazing. Now, I made the prediction that Mick would have to be around for the next decade to make sure that these continue in the same vein that they do, and he said I could be pushing it for next year. And I said, no, that's not going to work for me, so hang around. But the biggest thing is that he actually taught the Woodridge Scout groups how to set up this setting, and it's absolutely phenomenal. The work that's gone into it is amazing. So I want to do a big shout out to Mick Noble and the Woodridge Scouts for setting up the display on Anzac Day. Director Katie Barton-Harvey, thank you so much for your work, and Silvio Trinca, as acting CEO, you made sure that that was able to be funded, and I want to thank you for that, and to the current CEO for the ongoing support of that service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillor Russell. Councillor Raven.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I want to thank my colleagues for their support for the last 2 years, but I especially want to congratulate Councillor Wilcox. I will work to support you in your role as Deputy Mayor. It's a wild ride, a lot of extra work, and I know you're going to have a lot of fun and you're going to do a fantastic job, and I'll support you every step of the way.
Thank you, Councillor Raven. Well spoken. Councillor Hall.
I just wanted to congratulate actually each of the people who put their hand up for Deputy Mayor. It's not easy to put your hand up in any position, but I'm very excited. My best friend, it's hard as well, but congratulations, Natalie Wilcox, and look forward to working with you as the new Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So yeah, I would like to congratulate Councillor Wilcox and commiserations to Councillor Heremiah and Councillor Raven. All your speeches are awesome, so it's glad to hear them, and yeah, I do look forward to working with us all in this new the new role that we have with the Deputy Mayor. And what I'd also like to do is to congratulate the Greenbank RSL sub-branch for their awesome Anzac Day service. I only went to the dawn service. It's the main service in my opinion. I always did that when I was in the reserves. And I did hear that also the 10 o'clock service was rather spectacular too. So I also would like to say thank you to the community for coming out, because I know that dawn service, it did sprinkle a little bit. It was threatening rain quite badly, but it did hold off. So everyone was glad about that. And yeah, it's always a lovely service there. And I look forward to going there for many, many more years. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Heremiah. Councillor Bannon.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. With the Deputy Mayor vote, as you know, I was one of the main drivers in keeping it a yearly vote. The reason that came about for me was when we first got in here, I didn't really know anyone in here. I obviously knew of Laura, but didn't know of anyone that well. So I wasn't keen on giving someone a 4-year gig until I knew them. Now, knowing everyone in the room, I still want to keep it a 1-year thing, and that's because I think there's multiple people that are good enough that could easily be the Deputy Mayor. John, don't think you did a bad job, you did a good job. If you did a bad job and the Deputy Mayor job looked hard and torturous, no one would have put their hand up, mate. So I think the fact that you made it so good and you're so smooth with it, I think that's what made people realise they could have a crack at it. I think you can do a good job, Nat. To the media too, this council's not divided, this council's strong as anything. I love coming here and hanging out. I don't come here that much, but when I do, I always have a good laugh. Probably laugh too much and wait for the Mayor to tune me up, but it's a great council, it's good to work with, and I think it's really cool that there's multiple people that can take the job.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bannon. Well, that finishes up the meeting, but before I close, I would like to personally thank the former Deputy Mayor, Councillor Raven, for his loyal support for the last 2 years. You've done an excellent job. And also congratulations to Councillor Wilcox, who I'm sure will perform well. And I'd just like to congratulate the councillors on a mature performance in that meeting. It's a serious issue. It's been dealt with well and in good spirits. So thank you, councillors, and that concludes the meeting at 11:24 a.m. Thank you.